Thanks for joining us again. This is Barry Kazire. Get ready for some real live marketing. Are you a small business owner that is confused over your accounting records? Accounting by Art can help you eliminate this confusion with a free initial one-to-one consultation. Art offers QuickBooks training seminars covering both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, as well as addressing your specific needs and questions. Visit accountingbyart.com and set up your free consultation today. Hello, and welcome back to Real Live Marketing. So today's guest is Bonnie from ladyblogger.net. Bonnie is going to get with us and talk to us about putting together a blog on your website as a part of your website. This is some extremely vital information. Blogging is not dead. In fact, today it's possibly more vital than ever because relevance has everything to do with how successful your website's going to be. So let's tune into what Bonnie has to say here. And right afterwards, I'm going to give you some information on what the ideal blog post consists of. How long should it be? What should be involved in it? How many links to other resources, etc. So stick around for right afterwards. We'll give you those statistics on the ideal blog post. But without any further delay, let's get with Bonnie and some real live marketing. And before we get into the show, here's a couple of our friends who make this show possible. Feeling lost with accounting, bookkeeping, or payroll for your small business? Accounting by Art offers a free one-on-one consultation for the state of your business. Art Stump has years of experience helping small business owners with their accounting needs. He also offers QuickBooks training seminars covering both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, as well as addressing your specific needs and questions. Seminar participants also get a free 1-hour office visit after the class to be sure their QuickBook issues are solved to their satisfaction. Mention this ad at your consultation and get 10% off initial services when you sign up and pay for your first month. Visit accountingbyart.com today and get started. Welcome to Real Live Marketing. We're here with Bonnie Frank today, and Bonnie is with the Women in Biz. She's actually the founder and CEO of the Women in Biz. Correct, Bonnie?
Yes.
And tell us what the Women in Biz is.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. First of all, I'm glad
welcome.
to be here. Sure. The Women in Biz, our website is thewomeninbiz.com, is a support organization for entrepreneurial women, and we support them through a resourceful, website, through online and live events, and through coaching.
Great. And you've got an event coming up here too, right? You do periodical events.
We do, yes. We have an event. We are sponsoring the Lady Blogger 2015 Blogging Conference, and it's coming up Saturday, April 11th. It'll be held at the Comfort Inn Westport.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, great. Good. And so that's what we're going to talk about today too, is how you've grown your business using blogging. And we probably should tell people what, I know the word blog comes from weblog. And I always describe it when I tell people about it at my talks, I tell them it's sort of like a captain's log, but it's like your daily input is what's going on with you, that type of thing. What would you say, what is the definition you tell people when you describe what a blog is?
Well, there's lots of different ways to blog. I tell people it's sort of like keeping a journal, but it's not a journal that you have to keep every day. Some people do blog every day. I personally, for my blogs, I have two of them. Thewomeninbiz.com, I have a blog there where I blog about business issues and women's issues and self-care. And then I also have ladyblogger.net. I have a blog there, which is where I started, and I blog about education and children and parenting, and then the business of blogging. And for me, blogging every day can be very tedious, but also very frustrating because I pretty specific about the quality of my writing and pretty picky. And in order to blog every day, that's sort of a lot of pressure. So I think if you blog 2-3 times a week, even if you blog once a week, totally fine. At least once a week is what you need to do. So it is like a captain's log or like a journal, but it doesn't have to be daily, and it doesn't have to be every single thing you're doing. You could be blogging about specific topics like I do with education or women's issues.
Great. And people do all sorts of things with their blog. They include video, sometimes podcasts.
Correct.
Like this or pictures. All that stuff, right?
Correct. And both of my websites incorporate vlogging or video blogging, and lots of images, lots of things that the readers or listeners or viewers can interact with. And it just makes it more fun. It's certainly not a must, but it makes it more fun as a reader, as a consumer, and also it makes it more fun for me.
That's great. Yeah, and I've seen people do great blogs where sometimes they'll just have like 3 sentences that they pop out, and they're blogging like, several times a week. Sometimes they make it up to daily, but it'll be anywhere from a few sentences to a paragraph to a combination of a video plus, a few paragraphs or a whole essay or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just a wide range of things.
Correct.
And just to keep that content flowing out there.
Mm-hmm, correct. Most of my blog pieces are between 250 and 500 words. Some people have much longer blogs. Some people have, as you said, much shorter. For me, for writing about the different content that I do, it just always ends up that way. I didn't necessarily set out for that. When you do guest blogs on my website, for example, your blog will be 250 to 500 words. But some websites, if you guest blog on there, they'll say it has to be 1,200 words or between 1,000 and 1,200 or something like that. So it definitely varies.
Great. Yeah, we always, that's awesome. And I think anybody can do it. I tell people that the best way to, to learn how to write is to write.
Exactly.
And so you just have to start doing it.
Yep.
You could always have somebody side check you or edit you or make sure your spelling's correct, your grammar's okay or whatever. But, just start, and
exactly.
Get the content rolling out there. And then the other way I've done blogs is I've actually recorded them and then had somebody else transcribe them for me and edit it. Mm-hmm. So depending on like what facilities you have available, you can do that type of thing.
Right. I mean, I was just listening to your podcast about the video, about utilizing video. And when she mentioned the closed captioning, I thought, I always see that as an option, but I've just never done it. And that might be really nice. One of my former students is deaf, and she can only see movies where they have, closed captioning. And so a lot of times she'll either miss a movie or she has to wait until it's in that one specific theater that she knows will have closed captioning for her. And when I heard that when the woman mentioned that on the podcast, I thought, I immediately thought of a reader and a viewer and a consumer who might really like that. So that is something that I'm going to definitely think about incorporating in future videos.
That's great. Yeah. And well, good. And we tell all our clients that they need to have a blog, mm-hmm. and they need to have it as part of their website. Because sometimes people have a blog separate from their website.
Correct. And
they don't actually get it. They don't get that the reason you have to have it as part of your website is because you're constantly adding fresh content, which is helping the search engine, and then of course if you're staying on a topic or a series of topics, then the search engine begins to more and more know you for that thing, mm-hmm. and you become a valuable resource for whatever search engine's looking for content for that user.
Exactly. And one of the reasons that I wanted to put on a blogging conference specifically, the Women in Biz will be hosting other conferences geared around women and business issues in the future. But the reason why I wanted to start with a blogging conference was because, like you said, lots of businesses are being told they need to have a blog. And so, it takes 5 minutes to set up a blog. So they set it up and they have a blog, and then they have no idea what to do with it. Yeah. And it's sort of like having a personal Facebook page and a business, and they have nothing in common. And, I heard you speak the other day, and when somebody said, well, what if you only want certain people on your personal page and you don't want to friend them and that? It just makes life easier when it's just all sort of mixed up in a stew. And, I would never do or say or be pictured doing or be captured in any sort of video doing something that would be embarrassing or would, tar my image. And so why wouldn't I want everybody out there knowing about it? And as you sort of touched on, being an expert in your field, and blogging is a phenomenal way to be positioned as an expert in your field, as somebody who really knows his or her stuff, as somebody that you want to turn to for information about that particular topic.
That's great. Yeah. And really, it's like, I think it's important people realize that they don't have to be writers to do a blog. I've had people give their ideas and give maybe a recording of some of their ideas or an email of their various ideas to a qualified writer who then, like, we've done that for a number of people. In fact, we're helping a gentleman write his book right now. We're basically going through and telling him where he needs to add content, and then we're cleaning that up and making it more readable. And we've done that for blog posts for people. It's like you can simplify the whole matter for somebody.
Yes.
Anybody can have a blog. They just have to take the time to
Absolutely.
Yeah, to invest in it and create on it a bit.
Right. And anybody can have an effective blog. But there are particular there's rules like any other source of getting your name out there and your face out there. There's certain rules to follow. And there's also tips and tricks to make your life easier and to make the whole blogging experience more efficient. And that's all of those tips and tricks and social media rules and how to get around. Those will all be delved into in the conference as well.
That's great. Can you give us a sample? Like, what are a few of the tricks that a person would help a person with their blog?
Okay. Well, the first thing that always comes up. So a lot of times, as I stated before, it takes 5 minutes to set up a blog. Literally, it's very, very simple. And a lot of people start with a free situation. So maybe it would be like, for example, I have the womeninbiz.com. Well, I have purchased that domain name, so nobody else can use that. And I'm not going through necessarily WordPress or Blogger or some of the others. And everybody knows that I'm not, because that Blogger or WordPress is not in that. It's not the womeninbiz.wordpress.com or .wordpress.org. It's just the womeninbiz.com. So when I started blogging, I started doing it for free also. I started on Weebly, which I love. And most people use WordPress, and I totally get that. I tried it. To me, it was not intuitive. It's sort of a PC Mac kind of a thing. You either are or you're not. Sure. So I love Weebly, and both of my websites and everything I do is on Weebly. And so my first blog had the name and then .weebly.com. So it was free. So I sort of defined my niche. I defined the topics that I wanted to write about, and I really started to find my voice. As you said before, that the best way to learn how to write is to write. How do we become better at math? By doing more math. That's how you learn how to do anything. Ask Michael Jordan. He did not make the team he wanted to in 9th grade. There's a reason for that. He then went back and did everything he needed to learn more and gain the skills and increase his skill set, so that in 10th grade, he made the varsity team. And he's now, and then he just went forward from there. And that's what you have to do with blogging or anything else. So for free, I blogged for a while until I decided that I wanted to write about what I knew best, which was parenting, education, kids, and the business of blogging. I'm a former teacher and college professor, so the education came easily, of course, and perfect, the parenting, yeah. I got kids. Yeah. So that was a no-brainer. So once I narrowed my niche and decided sort of how I was going to, the voice that I would be using, then I bought a domain. So I went from there to ladyblogger.net when I decided that I wanted to branch out and help women in business. Then I did the womeninbiz.com.
That's great. Well, that's great. And that makes so much sense. You got to pick a platform like Weebly, WordPress. Those are our platforms. Mm-hmm. Figure out what you want to write about and then start going in that direction. Like even on my Facebook page, I guess I do a similar type thing. I've got about 5 categories of things. I've got various personal things that occur, whatever they might be. My wife and I out at dinner. I've got me and my speaking events. I've got a nonprofit that I work with, and I've got these different categories of items. Those are it makes it so much easier when you've already figured out what I call them my campaigns for my social media posting. And so a blog is that makes totally sense that you should do a blog the same way. But you can have more than one topic, obviously.
Absolutely. And there's loads of types of bloggers out there. There are also bloggers called lifestyle bloggers. And those are the people who tend to write more of things that are happening in their everyday life. And that's how I started. Okay. But for me, it was too broad. Some people love it because it's so broad. For me, it was too broad. And I didn't ever want to wake up in the morning thinking, what am I going to blog about today? For me, I needed it to be delineated a little bit more. But either way works great.
No, yeah, that makes sense for me. I mean, it makes sense that you have these campaigns and that's what you do. And so then I've got those in mind, and I've got my smartphone with me, and so I can take my pictures, and that can all be integrated into a blog too.
Absolutely.
Great. So tell me about social media integration. How have you used social media integration with your blog? Integrate it with the rest of the social media platforms.
Right. Social media is huge. I cannot stress that enough. And the more you become familiar with social media, the more you become comfortable with it. I started out, for example, as a Twitter hater, and I avoided Twitter at all costs. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to get over it. I told myself I was going to get 1,000 Twitter followers. I started from 0. This was for the Women in Biz. I told myself I was going to get 1,000 Twitter followers in 10 days. I just made that up. Don't ask me where that came from. I don't know. And I did. Right. And so, you learn by doing. I didn't have the money to hire someone to do a social media campaign for me. And at that point, honestly, I didn't even really know what a social media campaign was. And I never formally sit down. I know this. I never formally sit down and organize my social media in terms of different campaigns and things like that. It's much more organic in terms of not what I feel like doing, but what I see the needs are with my readers, with the population, with what's happening, today in St. Louis, or today in Missouri, or today in the country, or, whatever. So whatever's trending with certain different topics. So it's a little bit more, grows a little bit more organically that way. But social media, you can't avoid it. It's not going anywhere. And so because it is here to stay, why not embrace it? Ironically, last year when many of the Facebook algorithms started to change, and for lay people, change without warning, and people found it very hard to figure out, and it was confusing, and many bloggers jumped ship from Facebook, and they all went over to Google Plus, and then they all came back, and then they did both, and nobody knew what to do in the blogging world, honestly. And I was one of those people as well. And now I am probably on Facebook more than any other social media platform.
Great.
So the algorithms are still changing, but it's definitely working for me.
Yeah, and you're giving people a link back to your blog as well as other posts, random posts or whatever that you're posting. People would be really interested, I think, in how you managed to pull off growing your Twitter following to 1,000 in that short period of time. What did you do? Yeah,
well, I have the entire description on my website for purchase. You can go to thewomeninbiz.com and buy it in the store. I am also doing a presentation on that very story, on that very topic at the Lady Blogger 2015 Blogging Conference. And you can purchase a ticket to the blogging conference on thewomeninbiz.com in the store. You can use your credit card to do that. So I did a lot of different things. Some worked horribly and some worked much better. I am the baby of 5 kids, and my dad was a World War II hero. And I grew up with a lot of expectations, and I'm really stubborn. And so I was going to do anything that I possibly could. Besides buying, I did not purchase one follower. Anyone out there, please, please, please do not ever purchase social media followers.
No.
It's awful. Don't do it. It's a bad, bad idea, and it will come back to haunt you. So tempting as it was, and it was because they came out of the woodwork to follow me. But I did not do that. So, and I also, those followers are not really your followers. They're not going to help you at all. I wanted niche followers. I wanted people who were interested in women, in business, and in self-care, because that's what I'm blogging about. And helping entrepreneurial women is what my entire organization's about. So those are the people I wanted following me. Those are the people I wanted on Twitter and on every other social media platform. So I worked on a lot of content. And I learned a lot about hashtags, sort of on the job training, as it were. My first blogs, Twitter posts, my first tweets had no hashtags because I just wasn't even thinking about what I was doing. I was just doing it. And then I got to the point of being able to write a Twitter post easily within 140 characters. That was hard at first. Not being too wordy. Choosing words very carefully, choosing the right words, using hashtags appropriately and effectively. And I will admit, I asked for followers. I let people all over the world know that I was trying to get. I was on the move. I wanted 1,000 followers in 10 days, and I needed their help. And they came through.
That's great. That's great. So we'll include a link in the show notes to where they can purchase the whole write-up and they can see how to accomplish that, and to the local blogging conference. That would be fantastic.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So then, so good. So then, how do people monetize their blog? Like, what are some examples of some of the ways? Obviously, I'd like to hear how you've monetized it and how it's been successful for you. And then, maybe some other examples, too, of how other people could monetize their blog, regardless what type of business that they have.
Correct. Well, if you are, again, I, created my own business, so I'm going to go from my experience, but people monetize in all sorts of ways. But for me personally, and for most bloggers, I think they start with AdSense and with Google AdWords. I think that's probably the very first place that they go. And they will soon realize that if they do not have a phenomenal following, it is going to take them almost a lifetime to make any money whatsoever. And that's exactly where I started, and that's exactly what I found. So I started and ended that whole relationship probably within about 6 months. And it was great. It was fun. It was exciting to have, all of those major ads on my website. But when I was just starting, I didn't have the following that would mandate any sort of gain from those ads. So I got rid of them. And then I did some things. I was an affiliate for many different companies. That worked okay. But once again, you have to have a pretty strong following. And it takes time. It takes time to build your readership. It takes time to build your clientele. If you're a hairdresser, it takes time to build your book. It doesn't happen overnight. And monetizing takes time also. So it got to the point where I thought, you know what? All of these things that I have on my website to monetize my blog all rely on other people. Every one of them. And I thought, why rely on other people? I should be relying on myself. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any of those avenues. They're out there. They're so easy to put on your blog. They're great. They didn't work for me. And I'm very impatient. And as I said, I'm very stubborn. And so I got rid of all of them. I took them all out. And I thought, now what can I do to monetize myself? To what is it that I personally can provide for my readers, for my viewers, for my consumers that they will want to buy, that they will want to consume. And the first thing was the what to do on Twitter to get 1,000 followers in 10 days. So that's been working very well. That was the first one. Putting on the blogging conference, that's another thing. So the blogging conference, by the way, is limited to the first 150 people who buy tickets. Right. I will not have it larger than 150. I find that number to be optimal for good networking. Sure. And there will also be 20 vendors and no more than that. The 20 vendors are there so the bloggers can have business people right there literally at their fingertips to form those relationships. Bloggers need content. Businesses need advertising. It is a win-win. Absolutely. A lot of times businesses don't know how to form those relationships. And a lot of businesses don't have any idea that blogging about their business is even an option. So throwing those people together under the same roof, I thought would be an easy thing to do. Okay. So that's another thing. And then I also provide coaching on the website. So I'm in the midst of creating my coaching programs, which will be on blogging, on branding, and social media.
That's great. I think anybody could become a coach. I mean, if you're an expert in a certain field, like I have a friend who's a plumber who's going into coaching, and so he's an expert, and so he's going to teach others how to do the same all over the country. Yeah, so anybody can do that. There's lots of different ways to monetize your blog. I think that's fantastic. Oh, one thing I want to tell people, in case they don't know, AdSense is basically the little ads you see from Google. You can put those on your website, and when people click on them, Google will pay you. So that's what AdSense is. It's kind of just to have a definition in case you didn't know what that was. And then affiliate links. Well, anybody can be affiliate of anything. Basically, if you're sending somebody through your website, through a special link to another website to purchase something, then you actually, a code goes along with that, so you get credit for referring that person. And that's what affiliate programs are. And you can find some great write-ups on those. I don't know, do you have any on your website that tell people about how to use them? If not,
I don't think about
people can just Google them otherwise.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Great. And then on womeninbiz.com, they'll be able to go there and find out who's all speaking?
Yes. If you go to the womeninbiz.com, there's an events page. And on the events page, there's a description of the conference, basically a lot of the things I've said and a little further description. And then as you scroll down, you will see a list of the 13 different speakers, beginning with keynote speaker Dixie Gillespie, who is, she happens to be local, which I didn't even know when I called her, but she is known all over the world. She's an incredible business coach and consultant. And she is probably as stubborn as I am, or vice versa. So when I came across her stuff and I started reading her book, Just Blow It Up, I thought, I have got to not only meet this woman, but I've got to have her as a speaker at the conference. And so she is our keynote speaker.
That's fantastic. Okay, good. I love conferences like that. And so, you should definitely go to the show notes, check it out, sign up, get there either as a vendor or a participant. So that'll be a lot of fun. So like in podcasting, I was reading the other day, about a guy who posted in a forum, and he said, I've been going at podcasting for about 3 months. And immediately he had all the other podcasters jumping on there and saying, podcasting is a long game. You can't just go at it for a few months and expect it to pay off. It's a long-term game. You've probably found a similar thing in blogging.
Absolutely. And actually, before I started blogging, I read that most blogs fail within the first 3 to 6 months. So that was daunting. But I knew it wasn't going to stop me. And now that I've been at it a while, and I just put this as a Facebook post actually this morning, I liken it to parenting. When you start your blog, you give birth to your blog, you're absolutely giddy. You're so excited. You're positive that millions of viewers and millions of readers everywhere are going to, you're going to become the next Huffington Post, right? Ariana had to start somewhere. So that's going to be you. And you're going to monetize and you're going to become wealthy and you can immediately retire and buy a house and a yacht and all of these things, right? And then you start to go through postpartum and you realize things are not so rosy and it's not so easy. And either you get some help from other bloggers or from a coach or something until, you can come out of it. During the postpartum phase, if you don't come out of it, you're in the 3 to 6 month group that's failing. And that's why when you Google today how many blogs are out there, you'll get a very different number from tomorrow, 3 months, 6 months down the road. It continues to change. And there's lots of blogs out there that only have a few posts because the people gave up after that. So then, it's going, you realize what needs to be done. You find the world of social media, you meet other bloggers, you've totally solidified your niche, you're pretty happy, things are going well. Then you meet the terrible twos, or the terrible, with my family, the terrible threes, and teething, and all of a sudden it's not working so well, and then it'll work well again, and then you've got the teenage years. So it's very much like a roller coaster. For me, it's extremely emotional. I don't know how to take it any other way than personally. If people don't like what I write, or if their comments are maybe not what I would like. I have comments, the ability for people to comment on every single blog post that I write. I have had to monitor the comments because I had a troll on my first site who literally was stalking me. So I took care of that quick. But so now I monitor my comments. But, when comments aren't totally 100% rosy, I don't know how to take it besides personally, because you're very vulnerable as a writer, regardless of what your platform is. But like I said, I'm very stubborn and I stick it out, and I'm on for that roller coaster ride.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, the only real way you can fail at it is quit. As far as failing blogs failing in a few months, the same is true with search engine optimization. I mean, you've got a blog on there and you're adding to your website constantly so as to improve it in the rankings. And while it's not a short game, it's a long game. So you have to get in there and keep pitching. But it really can pay off. I mean, just our response website is cruising up between 200 and 300 pages, and we get 13 leads a week just off one subject.
That's great.
From our website. They just come in automatically. I mean,
so it's working for you. It's doing what you want it to.
It's a long game, and that's what blogging is. And it's really, you have to commit. You kind of have to go all in. When you have a kid, there's no backing. I mean, I guess you could back out, but it'd be pretty bad if you did, right? You're pretty committed, right? And you kind of have to approach these type of games with a level of commitment, of some magnitude, and then and treat it as your duty to carry on and see it through. Yeah. So great. Well, good. So any particular mindset here we want to leave with our potential new bloggers or existing bloggers? What's the mindset of a blogger have to be in order to make it succeed?
Just to hang in there and just keep working at it. Keep trying. Keep working your craft. Keep working at freshening up your content, at tightening up your posts. And you can also, just because you've written the blog piece, that's just the beginning. That's you sort of feel like that's the end when you click publish, but it's really just the beginning, because then you want people who are not just your subscribers, who are of course going to find each new blog piece, but you want people who aren't to come across it. And that's where the social media comes in. That's where all of the campaigns that you were referring to before of getting the word out, that's where all of that kicks into play. And then, of course, how do you reuse and how do you repackage? How do you reuse that evergreen content? You're not always writing about something that is only good to know today in 2015. You should be writing about things that are wonderful to know for everyone anytime. And there's lots of ways to repackage that. You're not just going to click publish again. You're going to repackage that in new and better ways. So just keep at it. Keep working at it.
That's great. All right, good. Well, good. So check out for some more great content. Go to thewomeninbiz.com. And you get some great more content. And thanks for joining us on Real Life Marketing. Thanks, Bonnie.
Great. Thank you.
That was awesome. We could do several shows just on the subject of blogging, and we probably will. We'll get into this in more and more detail. If you feel like you need some training on blogging, you can go to constantcontactstl.com. That's constantcontactstl.com. And sign up for our next class that we'll be teaching right here in St. Louis on blogging. If you'd like someone to write your blog for you, our staff also researches and writes blogs for a number of our clients. In many instances, making sure we co-write it with them so that their voice comes through. Now, for you that want to write your own blog posts, what does the ideal blog post consist of? Well, a survey of some of the highest ranking blog posts out there tell us that the ideal blog post has about 1,200 words. They have social media buttons so people can share them. That brings you more readers. Comments are allowed so people can interact. Video is not a vital part of the blog post. Using a few images is important. You need to have about 10 links to other resources and information either within your website or exterior to it. And the average title is between 50 and 70 characters. So there you go. There are some of the elements of the perfect or ideal blog post. Be sure to contact us if you need some help with this via reallivemarketing.com or our training website, constantcontactstl.com. Thanks for joining us this week. We're looking forward to seeing you again next week for some real live marketing.